Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Sports Talk. I'm Kevin Pate.
And Blake Bagwell.
And we're going to get you on a wide receiver segment right now. And for all of those Julio Jones owners, pay attention. We're going to give you the answers
Panic button time.
We're going to give you all the answers on how to replace your probable number one draft pick right here in this segment. All right.
There you go.
So let's start off with, we both picked some guys that we liked. 3 of these guys landed on both of our lists. So we'll both just kind of go in order about that. Let's start off with Alshon Jeffrey out in Chicago. Why don't you go ahead and get that ball rolling?
What can you say? He went crazy last week.
This was the Alshon Jeffrey that I wanted
This is what everybody was looking for when they were circling his name, whether it's going to their draft or maybe they saw him on the waiver wire and they were like, "Oh man, I'm definitely getting this guy." This is what they were looking for.
This is what they were looking for. They didn't get it though.
Not at all. Not even close.
That's why I actually was high on Jay Cutler last year, was because Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall.
Have 2 very solid receivers to throw to.
Absolutely. Now, Alshon Jeffrey has been an inconsistent play. He's not super reliable, but
not saying he is Julio Jones.
He's a guy that
worth a look.
He's hit or miss. When he misses, he whiffs. When he hits, it's 26 points for your fantasy team.
Yeah.
So then he's a guy to look at. I know a lot of people are like buying high on him right now, banking on that game. One bad week, I promise you he'll be available, and that's the time to grab him.
And then, go pick him up, but don't expect him to come back and score you 30 points again.
Oh, absolutely not. He had 218 receiving yards last week.
But now that Jay Cutler has built a little rapport with him, seen what he can do, it's going to open up both of those receivers. It's going to open up Brandon Marshall, take a little heat off of him, so they can be a little more balanced in their passing
game. And Martellus Bennett will also take some of the heat away from him, too.
For sure.
If last week was the first step in Alshon Jeffrey proving that he can be a number 2 receiver for a team,
love it.
Bears are scary. Alshon Jeffrey is a must-own right now.
Grab him if he's still available.
Absolutely. Another guy just came off his suspension, and I
love this guy.
I love number 1 receivers. I don't like his team. I don't like his quarterback.
Nope. But
this guy is great. It's Justin Blackmon for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yep.
He's back. He had an awesome week last week. Anytime you can buy a number 1 receiver, pick him up. He's available in more than 50% of fantasy leagues right now.
I mean, it's jumping up
right
by the moment.
People are catching on. But whenever you can have a number 1 receiver, even if it's with Blaine Gabbert as your quarterback in a struggling running game, he's a guy I like. Just because people will be guarding Jones-Drew. Yeah. That'll leave Justin Blackmon open for big, big games. Yeah. And while he's not going to completely replace Julio, he can soften the blow.
For sure. And we just said, that in our running back segment. The Jacksonville Jaguars are terrible. So why the heck would I need to pick up a receiver? Because they're terrible.
And he's the only one.
They're going to be behind in every single game they play. So they're going to be chucking it to Justin Blackmon.
His points will be garbage points, but garbage points still count as regular points.
Yeah. Sometimes can be even sweeter because defenses will play soft on them because they have a 3-touchdown lead. All of a sudden, Justin Blackmon gets 90 yards and a touchdown in the fourth quarter.
All right, now we're going to go to the third guy that's on our list, who I actually think is kind of a sleeper wide receiver right now.
Definitely.
Because no one's talking about him. But
because they haven't quite seen what he can do yet.
Right, but he's a clear-cut number 2 on this team. Now he is. We're talking Harry Douglas for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yep.
Douglas actually was having some pretty good weeks with Roddy White being injured.
Definitely.
But Roddy White was still getting in the game.
Yeah.
Julio Jones isn't stepping back on that football field for the rest of the season.
And Roddy White is still kind of in and out of his injury problems.
Yeah, Roddy White got hurt again at the end of the game on Monday. Right. So you could be looking at a scenario, I don't think it's likely, but Harry Douglas could be your number 1 receiver for the Atlanta Falcons in Week 7.
Mm-hmm. He's definitely an interesting guy. Not a lot of people outside of Atlanta have really seen this guy or know what he can do. But like you said, who else are they going to throw to if those 2 guys go down? Yeah, they still have Tony, but I really think he would be a very interesting fantasy pickup.
Right, absolutely. All right, so now why don't you go ahead and talk about the guys that you came up that I didn't come up with?
I was looking at the San Diego team.
Okay.
And I was looking at not just one, but 2 of their receivers who have really been playing well as of late, and that's Vincent Brown and Keenan Allen.
With Malcolm Floyd out for the year and Eddie Royal
that's exactly what I'm
coming
saying.
right back down to earth after his stellar first 2 weeks. I like this.
Because Eddie Royal, he had the huge week, and he was the sexy pick. Everyone went after him. But, he's still the older veteran guy. He doesn't have that speed and explosiveness that he once had. He may be able to sneak up on you like he did a couple of weeks ago and do that again. But for consistent wide receiver play, as long as Malcolm Floyd is not playing. I really like Vincent Brown and even Keenan Allen to a somewhat lesser extent. Just same situation. Phillip Rivers loves throwing the ball.
Right.
That's all they do in San Diego.
And McCoy's done a great job of them out in San Diego.
Oh, for sure. And so, I mean, those are definitely two guys to check out.
Okay, awesome. My two guys, I've hinted at them before, and I think now, if you're a Julio Jones owner, they're must-buys for you. And that one of them is Brian Hartline out of Miami. Especially if you're in a points per reception league, Brian Hartline is sure with his hands. He's going to catch the ball. He might not get a lot of red zone targets, but
definitely PPR formats is where Brian Hartline lives.
Absolutely.
I have kind of mixed feelings about him because he falls into that category. Like, he can all of a sudden go off and look like the number one guy for a week, but then he'll kind of disappear for 2 or 3 weeks.
And also like Brian Hartline just because of how shaky Mike Wallace is in my mind. Mike Wallace have a huge game for you, and then 0.5 points next week. Another guy I like is out in Baltimore. I just kind of blasted his quarterback, though, and Joe Flacco. So I have moderate expectations, but it's Marlon Brown out in Baltimore. He's the number 2 on that team.
Yeah.
I know he was injured. He's been hurt a little bit, and he hasn't been a big fantasy focus, but don't forget what he did when he was healthy. Right. He was scoring touchdowns. He was getting the ball looked at his way. I think he's a good guy to have.
I like Marlon Brown because I think Torrey Smith has actually overachieved up to this point.
Right.
He's kind of been in beast mode. Teams are starting to pay attention to it, and I think that's going to open up a Marlon Brown or somebody like that to, free up on the other side in one-on-one matchups.
So those are some guys that we think you should target to help you immediately, but somebody has a guy.
I have one more thing. I want some of you fantasy owners not to forget about.
Yeah.
Definitely it could be a little premature, but there's a guy who ESPN reported, just started running, just started getting back into action a little bit. Still probably a month away from seeing the field, but that's Percy Harvin.
Right.
Remember that guy? Kind of a big deal. Kind of a very explosive player.
I don't know if he's a month away. I think he's probably 2 to 3 months away, maybe a little longer. But absolutely, Percy Harvin.
I mean, they projected him 2 to 4 months, and that was on August 1st.
Okay.
So we're already almost 2 months into that, and they're saying that he's very ahead of schedule. Like I said, he's already doing workouts. Probably closer to 2 months away. Fair, but definitely don't forget about him. Keep an eye on him. If somebody doesn't have, for whatever reason, if somebody's not stashing him on their injured reserve, you maybe have a spot or just want to tuck him away, or maybe just wait a couple weeks and just grab him before the hype gets too big. Definitely an interesting play to throw into that the mix in Seattle.
Right, absolutely, and that's perfect for playoff run teams.
Yes,
if you know that your team is solid right now, you've got a playoff spot locked up, grab him, snatch him right up. He's going to be huge in Seattle, which will also help add Russell Wilson stock a little higher. For those of you that might be looking for all the Julio Jones owners out there.
Sorry.
Be happy that this happened on a bye week.
Yeah.
At least you don't have to replace that production next week. You should have already thought, okay, well, I've got Julio bye in week 6.
Right.
So this gives you 2 weeks to work on replacing your number 1 or number 2 draft pick. So thanks for joining us on the wide receiver segment. We will catch you next on the tight end segment. Don't miss it.